Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany and Dr. Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started. I want to take a minute to explain this episode before we dive into it. I have, as Dr. Kuba has pointed out in one of our episodes, I have 5 children, and one of the things that I think about often when I'm in my clients' offices is I look at the staff and I start to wonder how they were parented, what their life was like. I look at the really strong employees and I go, wow, what kindling was kind of put around them in their formative years to create this really smart, proactive, intelligent person, problem solving. My husband is also a high school teacher, and he's got a very unique approach to how he teaches kids to think for themselves and kind of stand on their own 2 feet. And so through the years, we've kind of put together a lot of ideas that we execute with our own kids. And several years ago, I had this moment where I just looked. At that time, my oldest was 7 or 8, and I looked at her and realized, she is just wrapped up in her own little kid world, as is expected. But how am I ever going to prepare her for quote unquote real life if she doesn't start hearing about it now? And so I started at that time introducing to her every week or every other week or so an issue that had popped up in one of my practices that particular week. I would tell her about the issue, and then I would say, how would you solve it? And in the beginning, it was, she didn't know how to solve things, or she really had to think through things. And so after she would kind of go through her ideas, I would then say, you know what, those are some good ideas. Let me tell you what I did. This is how I worked with the client, or this is how I worked with the employee to solve the problem. And so what I was doing is, through a real life example, I was first of all showing her what real life problems are. And second of all, I was also giving her a chance to, as a child, try to solve some of these adult problems. And it's been really interesting over the years to see her grow in her ability to really assess a situation from what I've shared and to come up with sometimes some unsettlingly great suggestions. Sometimes I'll present a true problem that I'm kind of chewing on and trying to problem solve, and I'll share it with her and she gives an opinion back, and I'm like, that is just so stinking good. I think she just solved my problems. And so I wanted to showcase this on this podcast because many practice owners do have children and or are involved in their community in some way with kids. And so I would recommend this model to anybody that has a child. I think it's a great way of raising future workers that will fill our workforce one day, that are more problem solvers. They're quick to think on their feet. They're not surprised by some of the problems that are thrown at them because they've heard about them before. So my goal as I work with my children on this is to have an impact for future practice owners that may employ my children, or future businesses that may have my children as a part of their team. I want my children to have a positive impact. And I think prepping them in this way is a fun way of doing it. It gives them a little bit of insight into our world and also gives them the ability to really form some critical thinking skills. So we'll start with my daughter, who's 10 years old, and then Dr. Kuba interviews her 2 girls, and you'll hear a child's perspective on some real life problems. And I hope it'll be inspiring to you, not only in your practice as you manage dental drama, but also as you think about how to incorporate your kids into your world. All right, welcome back to Managing Dental Drama. I'm super excited to have a very special somebody in the studio today, And that is my daughter, Cosette Petty. Welcome to the studio, Cosette.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring you on the show today because you and I often talk about something when we're together, and you seem to really enjoy when we talk about this. So I would say at least once or twice a week, you will ask me, Mom, can you tell me about a problem that you're having at work? Don't you? So why do you like asking about problems that Mama's clients are having?
I just like solving them. Like I like hearing what you have at work, and because I'm interested in it. And I like solving a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can make things better.
Okay, so you're interested in making things better.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the problems are challenging, or do you feel like they're pretty easy to solve?
I mean, some are challenging, some are easy, but either way, I like doing them.
Yeah, you like solving them?
Yeah.
And those are fun conversations for you?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell our listeners how old are you?
10 and a half.
10 and a half, exactly. Got to get the half in there, right?
Yeah.
10 and a half, so you're in what grade?
Fifth
grade. And do you think you'll use some of these problem-solving skills when you get older?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Maybe I should be a counselor.
Maybe you should, with all these skills you're learning, huh?
Yeah.
So I thought it might be fun. So one of the things you don't know that I haven't told you is I really like talking through problems with you as well, because sometimes you have a solution that I haven't thought about. Because you approach things in a very simple, straightforward way, and sometimes I'm overthinking the solution, and when I ask you about it, I'm bouncing an idea off you because I want to hear your perspective and your reaction. Sometimes your reaction affirms what I've already come up with and solidifies my plan, and sometimes I'm like, wow, it really is that simple, isn't it? So I thought it would be fun for our listeners to kind of hear you process through some problems. How do you feel about that?
Good. And I think some reasons why I why I'm so interested in it is because I have a lot of experience with problems, like at school and stuff.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So you take your problems from school and you apply it to
work.
The big adult work world, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you ready for your first problem?
Yes.
Okay, tell the listeners, you've not heard about this problem yet, right?
I haven't?
Nope.
Okay.
I haven't told you about this. So it's a new problem that came up actually this last week it came up. Okay, so I was in an office. I was meeting with several ladies at a front desk, so they were part of the business team in an office. And we have a monthly meeting where the doctor, and then three of the front office ladies get together and meet. And these were designed to be almost kind of like accountability meetings where whatever we decide that we're going to do, we want to get back together with them once a month and make sure that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, these meetings have been going on for a while, and each time when we get back together, there's a number of things that haven't been done. So things from our last meeting that we decided on that really should have been done, but they weren't done.
Yeah.
So, what do you think I should do?
Well, I think that, so if they weren't done, you need to figure out why they weren't done. Is it an emergency? Is it not an emergency? I mean, they should have told you if, they couldn't get it done, but you need to figure out why they couldn't get it done, if it's, a good reason or a bad reason. If it's a good reason, I mean, you can let it go on and you could just tell them next time, just tell me.
Yeah.
But if it's not really that good of a reason, you need to tell them, well, you need to do this next time. If it's this problem and this problem isn't really that serious. Yeah. You need to be like, well, if it isn't that serious, I still need you to do it.
Gotcha. So your solution is, first of all, we need to figure out why it's not getting completed.
Yeah.
Which I think is very smart, because sometimes we can just assume that we know why something's not being done.
Yeah, but then sometimes that's not why.
Exactly. So we need to find out why that it's not getting done. And then, depending upon their reason for why it's not getting done, we need to be clear with them that this needs to get done next time.
Yeah, next time if it's like this problem, which this problem wasn't really that important, then you need to do it.
What if, so let's say we figure out that they said they just didn't have time to get it done.
Well, they need to make time.
Amen. They do, right?
Yeah.
So that's not a good excuse, huh?
No, that's not a good excuse at all.
So if they say, I just didn't have time, then we just need to tell them, you need to make time, get it done by our next front office meeting.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, let's say we come back to the next front office meeting and it's still not done.
Well, then you're going to have to do something, because what happens at school is if, like, when I had COVID and I missed a bunch of days, they like, let me get it done, like, fastly while everybody else is doing an assignment. Then the next day I catch up on that assignment while they have, like, free time or anything. So I think, like, maybe on their weekends they need to get it done.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a consequence for not getting it done when you said specifically, like, I need you to get this done.
That's actually a solution I've never thought about before. So basically, they miss out on any kind of extra time, or maybe they've got lunch breaks that they like to go hang out with other people in the office.
Yeah, that's what happens at my school. I see people doing work at lunch all the time, like eating their lunch but doing the work at the same time because they chose to goof off during class.
Okay. I actually like that strategy. I've never thought about that before. So basically, if we got back to the next meeting when we already told them it's got to get done, then when they come back to that next meeting and it's still not done, we would say, well, that's not okay. Yeah. You've got to find the time, whether that means working through your lunch break, whether that means
weekend.
Coming in on the weekend and getting it done.
Whether that means when you're sick getting it done, probably not.
But either way, they have got to get it done.
Yeah, they got to get it done.
Okay. So let's say that when we ask them about why they didn't get it done, let's say their excuse was, oh, well, I didn't realize that had to be done. What could we do to make sure they know something needs to be done?
Well, you can tell them, when my teacher, whenever she needs us to know that something needs to be done, normally she reminds us, this has to be done. This is a grade. Like, you have to get this done, and if not, you're gonna have to do it during recess or stuff like that. Like, they just make sure that you have to get it done. This is a grade. Like, you cannot miss this, or you're gonna have to get through recess. Like, so I think that they need to know, like, so you can tell them this. Well, don't tell them this is a grade, because that's not elementary school. But you need to say, like, this is an assignment that has to be done, and you need to make that clear with them. And if if they didn't, like, if they still didn't know, next time you just need to make it clear.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah. Very clear. Maybe encouraging them to write it down, or take notes on our meeting, or somebody document the tasks that need to get done. Yeah. That may help. Yeah. So they're writing it down.
Sometimes when my friends want me to make them a bracelet, they make me write it down on a sticky note.
There you go. Hey, sticky notes work, right?
Yeah.
Good reminders. Okay, so overall, do you feel like if we found out why they weren't getting it done, we could help them solve the hurdle? If it's like a really serious, like, their son's in the hospital or something like that, like, I mean, that's pretty serious, but you can just, like, give them some time to make it up, like, to make the work up. And maybe give them a clear deadline. So after they're back from their son being in the hospital or being sick or whatever it is, give them kind of like a deadline for when it needs to be done by.
Yeah. What did Daddy do whenever I had COVID and then he had to be gone for 5 days?
Yeah, he had a lot. He stayed late at work to make it all up.
Yeah, that's what I was telling my friends. Like, they asked me to come over to their house, and I was like, I can't do that because my dad has to stay home late, and my mom can't take 5 kids to a house.
Exactly. There's consequences to being away from work, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Let me think of one other scenario that I'll throw at you. So I was in an office and there was a lady, I think I may have talked to you about this a couple months ago. There was a lady that kept missing work. So she kept taking off a lot of work.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. She kept taking off a lot of work and then she got mad because she thought we were forcing her to do it.
Yep. Yep. So I, with the office manager, had a conversation with this lady about how much work she was taking off. And it just said, hey, we've got to make sure that we're all showing up for work. Your presence is important here at work. She is a hygienist in the practice, which I know you and I have talked about. The hygienist actually produces money for the practice.
Yeah.
So when she's gone, the practice is missing out on the money that she could produce.
Yeah, they're yeah, you talked to me about this. The practice is losing a lot of money, and if she keeps missing work, the practice is going to have to close down.
Yep.
Because they don't have enough money to keep it running.
Exactly. It's very important. So when she's taking off work, the practice is truly suffering for it. One of the things I don't know that I told you about in this particular scenario is she also received what I call full-time benefits, meaning she got some paid time off for vacation.
Oh.
And she got some bonuses that were just for the people who work a full week. The people who only work part-time don't get these benefits.
Yeah, well, I mean, next time you give her a vacation, you need to tell her, during this vacation, you have to during this vacation, you have to do, online work or something like that to get the practice more money.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I mean, there's going to be a consequence coming at you.
Okay. Because one of the things that's not necessarily fair is if she's missing a whole lot of work, then technically she's not working full time, right?
Yeah, I mean, the patients that do work, they should get the vacation when she, if this could be a thing, yeah. I mean, you should give everybody else a vacation, make her work the practice alone, but you can't do that, so.
Hey, it's a practical consequence, right?
It could be a threat.
Yeah, it could be a threat. It's not a bad idea. Maybe she has to make up her days on a weekend or something. Yeah,
if we were going to give her a vacation, I say, you say, this vacation is canceled. You got to do work.
Yeah.
Or you could just fire
vacation
her.
Time. Yeah. Well, yeah.
If she keeps doing this, I mean, you got to say, well, sorry, you keep doing this. So.
Yeah. You got to go, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work for us anymore. Yep, firing is definitely an option in this. I think you make a good point that maybe she does have to come in on some days that the practice is closed.
Well, you also need to put a threat at her. Normally that works because, my teacher, she puts, threats, if you don't get this work done, you do it during recess. They get the work done.
Yeah, some kind of threat that makes her realize it's a serious thing. Okay.
And you need to just talk to her about it. You need to say, hey, you are missing work way too much. The practice is going to have to close down if you keep missing more work. What we're going to do is we're going to take off some of your vacation time that we were going to give you when you were working, but now you're not. So you're going to have to do some work during when your vacation was supposed to be. But I think she's going to get mad about that and probably quit, but we need to say it kindly, kind of kindly, but sometimes you need to throw a threat in and say, if you don't do this, we're taking away some of your vacations to fill in that work. And once we get the practice running again, then maybe we can give you a short little vacation.
Yeah.
To pay off for all that work, but then you're coming right back.
So you feel like there really needs to be a strong consequence that's communicated to her, or a threat, like you're saying.
Yeah, well, threat is a harsh word. I don't know.
That's
but you just need to communicate it to her. Say, throw in a threat.
Yeah, throw out a threat out there. See if it changes her behavior.
If it doesn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, if it doesn't, what would you recommend?
If it doesn't, I would say, either sorry, but you're gonna have to go, or I would say, you have to start working right now, or we're gonna be starting to take away all your vacations for the rest of the semester.
Okay, so either she's got to go, so we call that, being fired.
Yes.
Or she loses her vacation time.
Yes.
Okay.
For, I don't know, the rest of the semester until the practice gets up and running high.
Again, the production's back up?
Yes.
Yeah. So I've never asked you this before. You know that I have to fire some people.
Yes, you've told me.
Yes.
And I feel so sad.
You feel bad
Yeah.
for the people
Yes.
that are fired?
Yes, but they do deserve it.
Yeah.
Some of them don't, but I'm sorry.
But some do, right?
Yes.
So, if you had to fire somebody,
Oh, gosh.
how would you do it? What would you say? So let's say this hygienist, the one that's producing for the practice, that she just kept missing work. Pretend I'm the hygienist. What would you say?
You have been a great hygienist, but you are missing too much work, and I have warned you about it. I've even threatened you, and you are not listening, so you're gonna have to go.
What do you mean? I'm fired?
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
One day you think you're going to have to fire people?
No thanks. Yeah, maybe if I run my own thing, but
Yeah. You know the way that I think about it? Anytime I'm firing somebody, what I'm doing is I'm releasing them onto a job that's going to better fit their needs. It's going to be better for them. It's going to be better for the practice. It's going to be a win-win.
here's what I did. Here's what I would do if I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I would just throw out the truth kindly.
Yeah.
But I would just, how I said it to you so kindly, like, you have been a great hygienist.
Start with something positive.
Yeah. But you have been missing too much work. Maybe end on something positive, but then say you gotta go.
You're so smart. You've been listening to me, haven't you?
Yes.
We call that a positive sandwich. Positive on one side, the negative in the middle, and positive on the other side. And you can even do that in firing somebody, can't you?
Wait. Hold on, no. So there's positive, then the lettuce is negative, then you throw in, then the tomatoes are positive, then the other piece of the bread is, sorry, you gotta go. Maybe you can throw in a sorry in there, but
Yeah. Something to smooth it out.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sitting with me in the studio today for an official podcast. I appreciate you being the guest on my show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How do you feel knowing that people are going to be listening to your words of wisdom?
Good, because I feel like I'm inspiring.
I love it. You are inspiring.
And I feel like people can learn from me. Even you young kids, if you're listening to this right now, then
what would you encourage? So there's a lot of dentists that are listening to this podcast. They have kids. What can you encourage them to do with their kids?
Well, I think you should do what my mom does. Talk to your kids about it, teach them the ways of what you do. Tell them stories. They're going to start getting into it. Like when my mom started telling me stories, she started telling me a lot of times, but at first I was kind of bored with it, but then I started getting real like wow, this is actually pretty fun. And then she started letting me solve them and stuff like that, and it actually helped her in work. So maybe your kids can give you some positive advice too.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much, Cosette, for being in the studio today.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now we've switched spots. I'm in the Bethany seat, and I've got my girls. Go ahead, and who are you?
I'm Sonika.
And how old are you?
10. I'm Sarah, and I'm 9.
Okay, perfect. So I've got the girls in the closet with me, and I learned this actually from Bethany, who says that she, with her children, her 2 older ones, will give a, hey, this happened at one of my dentist's office this week, and what would you do? So we're kind of wondering, things that we struggle with, but I just want to know what you guys think. So I've got one for you here, okay? So you know how it's my office, right? and then I've got other doctors who come help me.
Mm-hmm.
So who are some of the doctors' names you've heard of who come? Actually, you know what? Never mind. Let's not get into doctors' names. But you guys know doctors help me, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about if, like, I could work, suppose there are like 20 patients on Monday. And so depending on the number of patients you see, that's how you get paid, right? So if I saw all 20, then I get all the money. But if let's call him Dr. X, okay? Just pretend it's Dr. X. If Dr. X saw 10 of the patients, then Dr. X gets the money for 10, and then the others, whoever sees them. So how do you think it's fair to decide who gets how many patients? So Sonika, why don't you answer first? Like, if I'm there and Dr. X is there, oh, Sarah, you want to go first? Okay. So Dr. X is there and there's 20 patients. How should we decide who gets to see how many patients?
Well,
what do you think? How should we decide? Should we flip coins about who gets to see each patient, or?
I mean, if before that, if like another doctor has been doing all the work and is getting all the money, I think the person that's done the least work should do it, because then I don't think it's that fair if like one person gets all the money just because they did well. That is fair, but
okay, so you think but everybody should get a chance to make money. Sonika, what do you think?
I think that if one person does all the work, and then if one person does all the work, then they should get all the money. But then, like, that wouldn't be fair if one person did all the work and then the other person got half the money. That wouldn't be fair, because then they just get money without doing any work.
Okay, but now what if there were 5 patients, that if you see those 5 patients, you're going to get $100 for each of those patients. But then there's 5 other patients and you're only going to get $20 for seeing those patients. So which one do I want to see? Which 5?
The one that I'm going to give you $100 each.
So what if I said, I'm going to see these 5 and Dr. X, you see the other 5?
That wouldn't be fair.
Why?
Because then he gets only like $100 total and you get $500.
Because you both are seeing the same amount of patients, so you should get the same amount of money, because that's not fair, because he did the same work as you did, so he should get
okay, but it's my office. So shouldn't I get the good ones?
No,
why?
Just because you're the owner doesn't mean you get most of the money.
But why? I spent the money on building the office, and I spent the money
because
buying the stuff.
They did the work.
They did the same amount of work as
teeth.
For cleaning the teeth.
Okay, but so then should I let that person, like, why should I let them make more? Do you think that person's going to stay in my office?
No,
because you already make more because you're the owner. So
because if you get all the money, then the people that work for you will think that's not fair. Then they'll quit, and then you'll have less and less people, and then your thing might go out of business.
Okay, or I have to work a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it a good thing for me to have doctors work with me, or should I just do it myself?
No, it's good to have doctors work with you, because they could also teach you, and you could teach them to do better, and it's just easier.
Why is it easier?
Because...
Like, who is it easier for?
It's easier for you, and sometimes the person that works for you, because, you're there for them, and they're there for you.
Okay, so what if I said, you know what, I don't want to share my money because there's 20 patients and I just want to get all the money. But that means I've got to be there every day to see all those patients, right? So if I'm there every day to see all those patients, where am I not?
You're not with your workers, your co-workers?
No, if I'm spending every day at work, then could I come have lunch with you at school?
No.
No. Could I...
And you might come home later.
Yeah. So do you want me to do that? Do you want me to go to work?
I want you to come home early.
But then I make more money if I work more?
But then she can't make more money.
Yeah, what do you want? Do you want me to make more money, or do you want me to spend more time with you at home?
I think you should make more money, because then you could buy us clothes, food, and
So you're okay if you don't see me about 3 or 4 days out of the week if I just make more money?
No. Well, I do want to see you, but like I do want you to make money at the same time.
You want clothes?
I think
you want toys?
I want stuff like that. I want food and candy, mostly candy. I think you should first stay later and make more money, and then later you can come home earlier so you can still spend time with us.
So once I've made the money and we know we're going to get the money.
Then you can.
That's what weekends are for.
Okay. That's what weekends are for?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that what you're going to do too when you're older? You're going to work?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to have money, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.